when I was a production manager and stuff, I had to, be up at 7 or something. I had to be the first one in the building and make sure everything was there and ready to, everything would, so it just depends on what you're doing. It is when your day starts, but then, then the band comes in at like 4 o'clock to do a sound check or 5 o'clock or whatever, and then you eat dinner, and then the opening band goes up, and then and then they play, and then you're just waiting to go on, and then once you go on, you gotta when they're done, you tear it down and put it in the truck and go back to the hotel or get in the bus and travel on to the next city or
Yes. I don't know if it was you or somebody else that described, people said, oh, it must be so glamorous. And somebody called it life in a box. First you get on the box with wheels, and then you go to the hotel, the smaller box, and then you go to the big stadium full of people in the box, and then you get back in the rolling box to go back to the little box.
Yeah, you don't see much. You say, well, where were you? And you go, well, we were here. You don't see much. You see the inside of the bus, and you see the inside of the venue, and you see the inside of the hotel, and then you go to the whatever. If you go to the airport, and then you go to the next gig, and you don't see it. You don't see a lot.
Well, that's why you were enticed to throw a few televisions with extension cords so they would stay plugged in until they hit the water. Isn't that right?
You're drinking a lot.
Yeah. Was that your story? They had an extension cord plugged into the television so that it would carry the.
Oh yeah.
It would make it.
He wanted to throw the TV into the pool. He wanted me to go down to the equipment truck so I could get an extension cord long enough so it would, when it hit the pool, it'd be on.
Why would he want to?
Because so it would make a bigger explosion when it hit.
Oh my gosh!
It like shorted out while it was hitting. While it was doing a belly flop in the pool. I'm sure there was nobody in the pool, but.
Oh yeah, you'd get arrested for attempted murder doing that kind of stuff now.
Yeah. Different times.
Tossing a few bottles out the window. I won't make you tell that on. But go.
At Leon, we were staying at the Hyatt Regency, the Continental Hyatt House, and Leon got in an argument with some woman he was with, maybe his wife, I don't know. And we were like on the 10th floor, and he got mad and took a Jack Daniels bottle, and just the balcony door was open, and he just went out and just threw it off the balcony from the 10th floor, and he was watching it go down, and he going, no, the guy was walking his dog, man. Knocked the guy out.
Oh no.
Cops were up there looking for somebody.
We don't know nothing, man. We've been up here sleeping.
Yeah, knocked the guy out. The guy's dog was down there running around on a leash.
I'm sure the statutes of limitations has run out now.
We hope. Yeah.
Right?
Yes, almost 50 years.
So that takes us up to. I know you've told this story 10,000 times about getting on that plane. Gene described it well, but here's what's so amazing to me, Craig, is hear this band. I mean, they just come out with that Street Survivor album. You're 3 or 4 shows into the promotion of the new album. Everything's great. Gaines is playing. Everything's cooking. But damn, we got this old plane.
Well, there wasn't nothing wrong with the plane. I mean, it was an old plane, but it wasn't the plane's fault. You got to put gas in it.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? I mean,
I wasn't afraid of that plane. Ronnie asked me, he said, are you afraid of flying this plane? And I went, no. Because the plane would coast. I mean, it would fly on one engine. It would coast. I mean, it was a safe plane,
Yeah.
you got to put fuel in them, you know?
You know, it's incredible to me. I got a pilot's license. I mean, flying a single engine airplane, but you know, the last thing I would do is take off and not know how much gas I had in it, you know, or fuel. It's not gas per se, but
Yeah, but Mark Frank, who said he looked out the window and he saw that the engine was leaking fuel,
Oh.
you know. So, you know, there's so much speculation as to what happened. Some people say he was trying to switch fuel from the right wing
different tanks, yeah.
to the left wing, and he dumped the fuel, and you know, I don't know. There's,
Well,
you know, they had the landing gear down, and
yeah.
Wow.
Here's what I don't Here's what I don't understand, and I've listened to even the FAA's report on that. Landing gear down slows you down, creates more drag. You're going to get less on the same amount of thrust while the engines were cutting out and all that. But the other thing they did was started a descent while they knew they're having engine problems. I mean,
when they started talking about running out of fuel, we weren't that high in the air.
right.
I was
Oh.
looking out the window, and we were going down a pipeline, you know, a gas pipeline. I was going, you know, we're gonna land it in that pipeline. I said, man,
Yeah, you'd have made a bigger explosion if you'd hit that.
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, you know, we're gonna belly slide it into that pipeline. We'll probably knock the wings off of it, but
Oh.
you know, how are they gonna get taxi cabs in there to get us out of there, man? This is gonna be never in my man. I wasn't afraid at all. I thought it was gonna be fun. I thought we was gonna slide it into that damn thing, and man, I never wrecked in a plane, but I belly sled went into a pipeline once, you know, but then he went for the. I guess he was. I heard that the aircraft report said that they told him to come to the airport, fly directly to the airport, and I think we were headed down that pipeline. I think he was going to land at that pipeline, and then for some reason he changed his mind, or he was going toward the airport, but I don't know if he was also going toward a field. I don't know what happened, but he banked it to the left. And as soon as he banked it to the left, the engine quit running, and then we coasted. It was dead silence. And then I just heard whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. We was hitting the top of the trees, and it was like bang, bang, bang. And then I was knocked unconscious at that point. I don't remember nothing. I woke up in the hospital after that. But that's all I remember.
But after weeks, weren't you like knocked out for a couple of weeks?
Almost 2 weeks, I think. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
When I woke up, I
know.
didn't have any idea anybody had died. Nobody told me. We were on shock. They didn't want to, stress us out anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was about a week or 10 days till I found out that people had died. And then after that, I wanted to leave. After I woke up, I wanted to leave. But I was hooked up to all my ribs were broken, and I had a punctured lung. And they said, you got a tube going in your chest. You can't leave, So they pulled that tube out of my chest, and I wanted to leave pretty soon after that. And they said, all right, well, let's hit you up with some antibiotics. And they hit me up with some morphine and knocked me out for a couple days.
Oh.
Well, we have that in common because I crashed a Harley and broke 7 ribs, and one of them went through my lung. And let me tell you, I didn't know you could live and have that much pain.
Ugh.
And then they hooked me up to what I called the aquarium in the hospital, right? They got that chest tube going into that bubbler that, you know what I'm talking about? It's draining you had that, right? Keeps you from, I mean, you're.
I'd probably died if they wouldn't have. There was a Coast Guard helicopter out there hovering, and he heard that there was a plane was having some problems. So, and he heard that they crashed. So it was right at dark, and the Coast Guard helicopter went over there and found us, and he hovered over top of the plane with a spotlight. That's how people found us. And if that wouldn't have happened, there would have Leon probably would have died, and Gary probably would have died, and I might have died. Alan recognized me at the hospital, identified me, and he said, "I thought you were dead." He said, "You were purple." So.
Well, it don't take long to bleed out. That's what the doctor walked into my emergency room, and he said, "I don't know if you got anything to say to anybody, pal," but he goes, "I don't think you're going to make it." I'm like, "Well, thank you for your kind bedside manner," but that's wild, because he said, "I don't have time to take you to the operating room." They gave me a C-section, and he started working on me at the emergency room. It was crazy, but the pain, it took me 6 months to get over that.
Oh yeah, one cracked rib will.
Yeah, that'll do it.
But yeah, all my ribs were broken, all my front ribs. Yeah, that was pretty painful.
I mean,
found us out there. Well, there would have been a lot of us would have died. Yeah, Leslie, her face was all cut up. We would have bled to death or whatever. Plus that. When I got out there, I went down to the memorial site, and I got out there and I went, "How in the heck did they find us?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if that guy wouldn't have had that helicopter spotlight on us, we would have, And in Artemis's movie, he went for help, and he luckily he went in the right way. He could have ended up missing himself, him and the two guys. They didn't know. I guess they saw a light and they went toward a light or whatever.
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
There were people. Artemis went and found help, but those people couldn't help us. But there was already people out there by the time Artemis, got there and everything. There were and the people got back from there. There were already people out there. The first rescuers were already there from that helicopter. But
Gene talked about how can people have so many recollections of right before the crash, but they do, don't they? Everybody has a different perspective.
The person that was on that plane has got a different story.
It's. I mean, I don't. And I think with the best of intentions, I'm not trying to point fingers here. I'm just saying it's just odd to me that there's so many different variations. Gene thought, and I'm not trying to get you. He wanted to come on today, by the way. But I said, well, we can't hook you on a Zoom with a flip phone, for God's sake. So you have a computer? Nope, no computer. Nope, no. I said, well, I'll call you later. But
so people have been telling me that I saw Gene on a podcast. He goes, yeah, that's Ryan.
Yeah, he's really done well on that podcast. I mean, it's
there's been a lot of people see that.
Yeah, and I'm glad for that. I mean, it's it's rock and roll history, isn't it? That whole situation, the crash and all that. I mean,
and I swear to God, that Lynyrd Skynyrd's I can't think of a more band that is more popular. 50 years after the fact. I mean, it's crazy. And eBay is something that really reflects on that. Lynyrd Skynyrd memorabilia is really pricey stuff.
Yes. No. Okay.
Yeah.
Poor Ryan. I'm just talking. I mean, he's like,
it's all good.
Can I ask one question? No, I'm too busy. I'm too busy trying to. Here's the next. I'm setting you up for these funnies. But who said Craig Reed will sell our underwear on eBay if we're not careful?
Oh, I know who that was. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
And you said, well, if you got some more, send it my way,
Send
right?
it over.
Autograph it first and send it to me.
Oh, I went to Gary's funeral and I sold his funeral brochure. Oh, everybody just thought that was something else. But Gary and I were good friends, man. I was trying to sell his funeral brochure for more than Elvis.
Elvis's, yeah.
And you never, unless you try something, you don't know if it'll work. But hell, I got over $800 for his freaking funeral brochure. If I died and somebody sold my funeral brochure for $850, I'd be going, damn, I was a famous son of a bitch.
If I got $80, I'd feel like I can't believe somebody would want it. But
Yeah.
Gary laughed about it. And then I gave the money. I sold to, as a matter of fact, I got so much hell for it, I did it again.
see that?
A Hellraiser. Yeah.
No, nothing surprised me, not one little bit.
Yeah,
So-
and, yeah.
Those guitar picks. How much were those guitar picks bringing?
Oh God, man, them guitar picks are $500, 565 or something like that for one of Steve's. Yeah,
Steve's, yeah.
Man.
they're crazy. Yeah, but I got 800 for one and like 600 for another. It was like $1,400. But I gave all the money to Mark Howard. He was having problems with his leg, and I gave all that. You know, I sold two funeral brochures and gave it to Mark Howard to get his leg fixed. I do that the Stone Roadie show, and we take up. I didn't want to do donations on there. I didn't want to do a damn podcast. People wanted me to write a book, and I'm too stupid to write a book. So I said, so somebody wanted me to do a podcast. I go, yeah, I'll do a podcast. What do I need? And said, you just need a microphone and a camera. So I got this microphone and that camera there, and then he got COVID and almost died. My friend Griff Martin, I goes, man, I got this microphone and stuff, and now this guy wanted me to do this podcast, and now he, fell through. He goes, I got a mic and a camera. Let me, ask you some questions. People are always asking me to ask you questions, and I said, yeah, we'll do that. So we started that, and I figured, I said, man, if I wrote a book, I would just be writing about things that I want to talk about. If I do a podcast, I can go, hey, anybody want to know anything about Skynyrd? It just seems more logical to me. There's been a lot of books written. If anybody wants to know anything, if I can.
Okay, I got one. I got one, and you may have one too. Here's what I would say. I would like to know the personalities of those guys. Everybody talked about, nobody knows them, really, but you did.
Yeah. Oh, my God, it'd be that. I don't know. That'd be a tough one for me to try to explain their, they were just, every one of them was totally different. Totally, Ronnie, Gary, Alan, Billy, Leon, Steve, Artemis, Ed, they're all totally different.
Well, let's start with Ronnie. Everybody talked about him being the tough guy, wants to bar fight, he was the boss, I guess, of the band, but what was...
Depended on how much liquor he had in him as to who he was.
Yeah, well,
so that changed. Yeah,
that's what liquor does, believe me, I know.
I'd go fishing with, Ronnie kind of, his best friends were his bandmates, Gary and Alan and stuff, because those last years those guys just were constantly together because they were, always rehearsing and trying to, do something. Even when they were doing copy band stuff, they were always together and rehearsing and stuff. So, Ronnie's best friends were Gary and Alan, and then when the band finally got successful, and Alan had a family and had kids, and when he was at home, Alan was busy and Gary got married, and so Ronnie really didn't have them to hang out with. So along come me, and so I started hanging around with Ronnie when we were at home. So
really?
that was cool,
Doing what?
Fishing and just going to the beach, and just chilling, just going camping. We went camping, and, just on the boat and just doing different stuff.
Well, it's good that you were there for all those guys.
Yeah.
I can sense that they all, in a different way perhaps, but depended upon you to
I was always there with them doing something, you know. When Gary and Alan would go, you know, they took up diving, and I went diving, you know, scuba diving with them, and we just did all kind of stuff together.
That's cool. I think that's fun. So, did they spend a lot of time on the road writing their songs? I mean, because you're out promoting an album now. You got, I mean, and you're doing 100 cities in what, 200 days or less, and then you got to have another album ready to go.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of time on the road to try to write, but they would. I mean, we would be in the hotel, and we'd be coming down the elevator, and Ronnie would hang on my shoulder and be singing. I'd be hung over from the night before, and Ronnie would be hanging on my shoulder, singing in my ear. You know, it was funny. Something they had, but had nothing written down.
Yeah.
You know, just
Go ahead.
And he would just remember these songs and expect the rest of the band to remember these songs, but never wrote anything down.
never wrote anything down. I guess Judy came up with a notebook that had some stuff in it. I'd only heard rumors about some book that he had written some stuff down.
Did that seem strange to you?
Everybody always says that. Yeah, they ask him about that. You never wrote any down. He said, if it ain't worth remembering, it ain't nothing worth writing down.
Well, he's got a point there. Man, that's like savant level stuff.
You know what I find interesting about his songs is so many people, they write a song and they're like, oh, okay, let's see, I got to write a song. So I'm going to say some words, and then Crumb's got to ride with bum, and let's say I'll make it strum. So I strummed the guitar and I hung out with the bums, and man, they were dumb. Okay, here's our song. But not him. He tells a story that is so vivid. I think you said, why did this last for 50 years? Because I was going into Birmingham recently, and I look up, and the whole streets are lined with begonias going in. You know, he talks about Birmingham's got begonias or whatever, however that line goes. And I, you know, I asked Gene when we were talking, I said, hey, man, I want to come to Jacksonville. Where's the let's say I was cutting a rug with a